Golduck is a very, very strong water-type Pokemon, and today we're going to see exactly how it fares as it reaches the end of the line. Now, as we're getting into this Golduck challenge, I want to say thank you to everybody for the support you've shown over the last few videos, especially on that Ursaring video. The end of the line is one of those series, I know it's a little bit divisive, but we all seem to really enjoy it, so I'm going to be doing a few more end of the line videos before getting back to the main series leaderboard. And in May, it's going to be a bit of a mix and match of both main series end of the line, a few backports here, maybe back to yellow as well. We're just going to see exactly where the mood takes us for each and every challenge. Now, if you do enjoy the challenges, make sure to leave a like on the video while I'll tell you the stats of our Golduck. We're level 5 with 24 HP. We are, of course, holding a berry, and our 4 moves are Scratch, Tail Whip, Disable, and Confusion. We've got 14 in attack and defense, 16 in special attack, 14 in special defense, and 15 in speed. And with that, let's now hand over to the live run to see how it went. I think that out of all of the water types, Golduck definitely has the best potential for the end of the line. It did very well when we started off as Psyduck, and I think we're going to do just as well starting off as Golduck. Our first wild encounter was just 2 shots thanks to a very lucky critical hit there. We're going to swap Confusion into Tippy Top Spot and we get another critical hit, so the start of this run is definitely blessed. I'm going to have a little chat with Mr. Pokemon, get the Pokédex, and then we'll reconvene for the first rival battle. And here we are, the first rival battle is of course going to be very, very easy. He's got the Chikorita line because that's super effective against water types, and it's just 3 shots to knock it out, and I don't think we took any damage at all in that battle. Let's now start heading back towards the Pokemon Lab where we'll name our rival triple question mark as we always do, and then it'll be a trip into Violet City. And I think we're going to do early Sprout Tower. I think Confusion should be more than enough to knock out all of the Bellsprout, even the level 6s in one shot. And those early levels could come in quite handy when we come to a trainer like Rival 2, where we're going to have to knock out the Bayleaf quickly. Otherwise, we're going to get hit in the face by multiple Razor Leafs. So I'll start making my way up there, get a few levels en route, and we'll reconvene towards the top of the Sprout Tower. I did full trainers in Sprout Tower, even the optional one just to the bottom left of us. Everything was a one-shot, and I don't think it's going to be much different here. Probably going to be a 3-shot on the Hoot Hoot when that comes out, but even then, that's not a great time loss. And I think the time we'll gain from having a quicker Rival 2 now is definitely worth the time we expended here. We'll grab the escape rope, we'll leave here. I've got a couple of trainers to do now in the main gym, and then we'll be taking on Falconer. And that's both the gym trainers done. Let's now take on Falconer. He's our first leader, a flying type specialist who leads with Pidgey. It's going to be a 2-shot on the Pidgey, probably arranged the entire time with that one. Probably going to be a 3-shot on the Pidgeotto unless we high roll, which we don't, but again, no danger of being knocked out there. We get our first badge, the Zephyr badge, in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Not a bad time, not as quick as Ursaring, but then of course we did have a few more wild encounters at the very beginning. I think it's going to be tight all the way with a lot of these ones we're doing at the end of the line at the moment, and I've got to say it's a much welcome change of pace. A lot of the Pokemon I'm doing on the main series I'm having to do in little bulks here and there, because they are very, very tedious and very, very grindy. So having the end of the line as a kind of palate cleanser series is definitely doing my mental health a lot of good doing these runs. I think our next meeting point is going to be in Union Cave, where we'll pick ourselves up the Swift TM. And here we have our Swift TM. We're going to be teaching that next time we menu. I think at this point in the challenge, we're just making do with what we can get until we're able to get both Ice Punch and Surf. Those two are going to be our main moves. Headbutt as well is going to be very, very handy, because that means we'll have a flinching move. We've got 80 odd in speed, which is not bad at all. And now it is time to think about catching the HM friends. We're going to have a little chat with Kurt first, get him all set up in the Slowpoke well. We'll pause the timer at 10 minutes and 20 seconds and we'll catch our HM friends. The reason we pause the timer is because there's an element of RNG that goes into finding the wild encounters, and it would be grossly unfair on Golduck if it takes, for instance, a minute for us to get our next wild encounter. So we get Paras first, we get Psyduck second, we catch them both in one ball apiece, we'll swap them around in the party, and then we shall make our merry way into the Slowpoke well, but we're going to meet up in the gym. Our time against the Rockets could be summed up in 3 words. We have confusion. It was a one-shot city the entire way through, and I think Bugsy's going to be fairly easy as well. It's going to be a 2-shot on the Metapod, a 1-shot on the Kakuna, and then probably a 3 or 4-shot on the Scyther. Fury Cutter's missed once, that's all we really needed. There's nothing else he can do. We'll grow to level 20 and we obtain the Hive badge in 12 minutes and 41 seconds. We're going to do a very, very quick heal from the bag now, taking advantage of having some of our potions, and then we will try Rival 2. I reckon this is going to be one of the hardest fights we'll have, but I'm not quite sure how bad it'll be yet. We know we can one-shot Ghastly. It's this Bayleaf that is going to be the issue. Its Poison does, Raise Leaf does a fair amount of damage, but we get a lucky critical hit. We're able to one-shot the Zubat afterwards, so we get through without a single reset. We can start making our way through the forest. Of course, the first thing we obtain in the forest is the Cut HM. We're going to teach that alongside Flash to Paris right now. And actually having Cut and Flash together saves a little bit of menuing. We're then going to waste some time menuing, because I should have waited until the Repel wore off to teach Cut and Flash. That's one of the time saves I'm trying to incorporate inconsistently. We'll get ourselves Headbutt, we're going to replace Tail Whip with that, and we're going to do that right now. One thing that as a challenge runner you should be aiming to do is to combine your menuing into as few menuings as possible, if that makes sense. Because the fewer menuings you have to do, the quicker your overall runtime is. Now we've got one more wild encounter to get. We're going to pause the timer to let the Repel wear out. Then we'll leave this gate and we'll get ourselves Abra. Abra is of course going to be helping us out to teleport. We'll use a Pokeball, and as soon as it's caught we'll unpause the timer and make our way into Goldenrod City. And of course the first thing we do in Goldenrod City is get ourselves the bike. It's going to help us move at double quick speed for the rest of the challenge run. I personally love the bike. I think it's definitely something that's helped speed up my challenges. So I'll be grabbing it every single challenge. And you may have noticed, have a look at our in-battle stats. We now have higher physical attack than special attack. That is because of Falkner's badge. So Headbutt is suddenly a very, very useful move. Don't think we need the Quick Claw on this attempt. We have 85 base speed. That should be more than enough to outspeed every single Pokemon that comes in front of us now. Maybe with the exception of Whitney's Miltank, we'll have to see there. But I think all the other key trainers, including Red, we should be okay without the Quick Claw. Now I've been umming and ahhing a little bit about whether to grab Ice Punch before Whitney. I think we are going to do that. It could help us out if we need to freeze the Miltank. So I don't think we're going to need Swift any more than what we have been needing it for already. So we'll get rid of Swift, and now it is time to take on Whitney. So Whitney is of course going to be our third gym leader together. She's a normal type specialist who leads with a very pesky Clefairy. Let's see, does it metronome? It doesn't get a chance because it flinches. We outspeed the Miltank as she locks herself into Rollout. Rollout has missed, that's all we need. We get through this battle first try, and we get our next badge in under 20 minutes, because that's the plain badge in 19 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's get out of here. She's not going to be happy that her Miltank missed her Rollout. I don't think it was going to change anything either way, but it definitely meant we had a much, much smoother ride than we otherwise would have done. Now we're doing a heal here in Goldenrod because we're going to try Quick Air Critique again, so let's see how that ends up going. So of course our first destination in Critique City is going to be the Kimono Girls. We don't have anything super effective against the Flareon yet. We've got to get through the Flareon to get ourselves Surf, but it was still a fairly easy affair there. I reckon all of them are going to be fairly trivial in fact, so we'll skip ahead to once we've defeated them all. And with that, we have defeated all 5 of the Kimono Girls, and our reward is Surf. And Surf is going to be incredibly useful. It's going to be our strongest move we'll have on the learn set, one of the strongest moves you can get in general, and definitely the strongest move you can get this early on in the challenge. Going to use a potion, and we're also going to Ether Headbutt as well. So it is a little bit of menuing there, but I still think we're going to save time versus going into the Pokemon Center. We're we're going to actually use a repel here as well, because we're going to want to come back in after we've defeated the rival, so that we can get ourselves our HP up from that part of the burnt tower. Let's see how we get on now against Rival 3. It's going to be Surf to start, it's going to be Surf for second as well, and then we'll probably swap to Ice Punch against the Bayleaf. Bayleaf uses Reflect, that's more than fine for us. We can finish off this Zubat with an Ice Punch as well, and that is the rival defeated without taking any damage whatsoever. So let's fall through the floor, and now let's teach some moves to our Paras. So we've got to teach both Rock Smash and Dig at this point in the challenge. Once again, we're doing this so that we can save a little bit of menuing, and then we will of course reorder those moves into something a little bit more sensible. So I always do Flash, Dig, Cut and Rock Smash. I find that order is the most convenient for me. It means I don't accidentally dig out of any caves. So we'll dig out of here, and now we'll take on all the trainers in Morty's gym before we get our 4th badge. And with that, we've defeated all of the trainers, so this is Morty. Morty is our 4th gym leader together. He's a dual Ghost and Poison type spectacular gym leader, and he leads with Ghastly that will surf away. We're going to surf away the Haunter as well. We grow to level 30, and now how are we going to fare against the Gengar? We don't get sent to sleep, it's all over for Morty from here. We finish off his last Pokemon. We obtain the Fog Badge in 24 minutes and 9 seconds. Let's move on to Olivine. So let's pick up Strength from the man in the cafe. I don't think we'll be teaching it in this particular challenge run though. We'll do a heal for PP purposes, and then we'll start ascending the Lighthouse. Now on the way over to Olivine, we did forget Confusion, and in its place we have Psych Up. Now Psych Up may seem like a little bit of an odd choice to have on the Learn set, but I am thinking that we'll be able to copy all the stat changes of all those Gen 2 Pokemon that like setting up on turn 1. Particularly I'm thinking for Red Snorlax. And having that stat change copied from Red Snorlax means we're going to have a very, very beefy Golduck by the time we battle some of the later Pokemon against Red. For now though, we are going to make our base in Cianwood City. We've got the secret potion after ascending the Lighthouse. We've got another gym here as well, so let's see how we get on. This is Chuck, our 5th gym leader. He is of course a fighting type specialist who's going to lead with Primeape. And for this battle we're going in holding the Bitterberry. It's really a choice of 2 between the Bitterberry and the Minceberry for Chuck. Neither's really perfect, neither's really imperfect, but it turns out we needed neither of them this time. That's Chuck all defeated in a time of 28 minutes and 58 seconds. Let's get out of here. We've had a lot of phenomenal luck on this challenge so far. We'll get ourselves to Fly HM, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then I think we'll take on Jazz. And of course, the first bit of housekeeping we'll do is grabbing this rare candy over towards Newbark Town. We'll grab the other rare candy in Violet City because that one's a little bit out of the way. Try and make use of having all our repel steps all in one. And then it's going to be a quick trip over to Cherry Grove City, where we're going to pick up the Mystic Water. That's going to give us a 10% boost to our Water-type moves, and that will hopefully guarantee the one-shot on Jazz's Magnemite. And talking of Jazz's Magnemite, that's who we're about to face. So this is Jazz. She is going to be our 6th gym leader together. She's a Steel-type specialist who leads with Magnemite. Yep, a one-shot on her first 2 Magnemite, that's what we like to see. And it's going to be a one-shot on the Steelix as well. Even though we were under-leveled for this battle, we get through very, very easily in a time of 30 minutes and 47 seconds. Let's head lakewards now. There isn't too much we're needing to grab at the lake today. We'll grab that rare candy. I think we're also going to get the elixir. That elixir could come in handy for the rocket section that's coming up after we've beaten up Price. It does mean we can save a Pokécenter heal there. We will now go to the Lake of Rage, and I'm breaking my own rule with menuing twice in a row there. But now let's see what we can do against the red Gyarados. I'm not expecting too much of an issue. We are hoping for the flinch. Bite's absolutely fine. A 3-shot to grow up to level 35. So now we'll chat with Lance and we'll reconvene when it's time for Price. As you would expect, nothing of any interest happened at all in the underground. So now it is time for Price, our 7th gym leader. He is of course an Ice-type specialist who leads with Seal. We two-shot the seal with headbutt, so out comes the dugong. It's looking like a range on the dugong as we headbutt each other, and then it's going to be a nice and easy one-shot to finish him off with Pile of Swine. That is our next badge, our 7th badge in 37 minutes and 17 seconds. And with Price as well as the first half of the radio tower all complete, it's time for Rival 4. I don't think he's going to pose a threat here whatsoever. He's going to lead with Golbats. We'll surf because we don't need to use our super effective move. We'll continue surfing against the Magnemite, and third out is going to be Bayleaf. Not Bayleaf, Meganium at this point. Oh, if we were holding the ML Ice, that could have been a one-shot. As it stood though, it's a two-shot, that's absolutely fine. We'll one-shot the Haunter, and we'll one-shot the Sneasel for yet another trivial rival battle. And after beating up Rival 4, there's only one more important item in Goldenrod City, that is the Scamulet coin. We're going to be using that for the rest of the Johto section as well as the Pokemon League so that we're able to afford Ice Beam after the League. Let's now move on to Claire though. And this is Claire. She is our final Jotonium Gym leader. She is of course a Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. And the good news is we're able to one-shot all of her Dragonair, so we're not going to get Thunder Waved in this particular battle. It's all going to be about the Kingdra. I've taught Return in place of Headbutt, just because I think that's going to be the best move to keep her out of healing range. Doesn't matter either way though, because she's locked herself into Hyper Beam, and we low-rolled after all of that, for goodness sake. She's Hyper Beamed, but it's all over for Claire now. Bit of a sloppy battle, but we get through. Let's now race through the Dragon's Den to try and get the badge. And with the questionnaire answered, we don't quite get sub 50-minute Claire, but we get 50:29, which is not a bad time at all. And with that, it is time for the final rival battle of this challenge, and this time he's going to lead with Sneasel. We'll use Surf against the Sneasel, take it down in one shot, and up next is going to be Magneton. We outspeed and one-shot the Magneton, and that brings us on to Meganium. It's not quite a one-shot, but we freeze the Meganium, so we're taking no damage there. We'll use Surf against the Golbat, no need to use the super effective move. Haunter's out next, it's going to be a one-shot, we grow to level 50 and the last Pokemon is Kadabra. I think any of our moves would have one-shot that Kadabra, so we'll just use a Return because that's a move we've not used much. We get through the rival in 53:11, so let's now thank the HM friends. So it's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourselves some much-deserved rest. We'll get our full restores, and then we'll have a little look at our stats. We are level 50 with 169 HP, holding the Scamulet coin with Surf, Return, Psych Up, and Ice Punch. 122 in attack, 114 in defense, 136 in special attack, 121 in special defense, and speed. Those, of course, are the outer battle stats. Will get a big buff in battle, as we'll see now, against Will. He's our first league member. He's a psychic type specialist who leads with Xatu. Xatu, as it turns out, is very weak to ice, as is Executor, so they go down in one shot apiece. Jinx has 0 physical defense, so we'll use Return against her, and we are on to a Slowbro. Slowbro's really the pesky one out of the 4 different Pokemon that Will has, but it still goes down fairly easily. We'll Ice Punch the last Xatu, and that means we get our first league member through in 54:16. Let's move on to Koga. Koga is of course a poison type specialist, and he's going to lead with Ariados. I think we're just going to drown the Ariados, honestly. That will get us through it fairly easily. We'll drown the Venomoth as well. We high roll there. I think that was a range. It's not quite a range on Fortress. I don't think it's a one-shot either way. We'll use an Ice Punch on Muck on turn 1, and then we'll Surf on turn 2 as he keeps boosting his evasion. We get Toxic, but we're going to use a Psych Up now to boost our own evasion, see if that can help us through the Crobat. Because I don't think the Crobat's going to be a one-shot, but it does of course mean that we have a little bit of evasion buff to help us out, and that might have not worked in the end, but it was definitely worth a try. That's Koga done, apologies for the flashing, let's move on to Bruno. So Bruno is our third league member, he's a fighting type specialist, and he's going to lead with Hitmontop. It's going to be a two-shot on the Hitmontop regardless of what we do, so we'll just use a few Surfs there. And that moves us on to Hitmonchan. We'll use Return against the Hitmonchan. Thunder Punch hits but doesn't paralyze us. And thank goodness there's no physical special split. We get a bit of a reprieve here because it's a one-shot on the Hitmonlee. And now we're going to have to be careful with this Machamp. We're going to use a pair of returns so that it didn't healing loop. Then we'll use Surf on the Onix, finish off Bruno in a time of 55 minutes and 54 seconds. Up next is Karen. And that's all the prep work done for Karen. We've done the HP up strat. I'm also holding the Bitterberry. Let's see how this battle goes. I think we're going to try and freeze the Umbreon. Didn't quite work out on a critical hit there. Was a little bit mean from Karen. But we don't end up confused. That is really beneficial. We'll Ice Punch the Vileplume, knock it out in one. And we are on to Gengar. Gengar cuts its own HP, so we don't even need to think about that. I think we've won, honestly, because she's got a Murkrow and a Houndoom, both of which will go down in a single Surf, and that's Karen done in 56-47. I'm going to risk it for a biscuit now, and I'm going to do Lance without healing. That's how confident I'm feeling. Let's see if this bites us in the bum. This is Lance, our final trainer of this part of the challenge. He is alive with the flyers. He led with a Gyarados that's already gone down. And now we're on to the Dragonite. I'm going to assume he's going to send out all three Dragonites in a row. Because, of course, his final two Pokemon are going to be weak to water. So it's a one-shot on all three of the Dragonite. Out comes the Aerodactyl. We outspeed. We knock it out in one. We just have Charizard left to go. We outspeed. We finish it off in one shot. And we are through Lance in a time of 57 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's see what that gives us for our final Hall of Fame time for this challenge. And our final Hall of Fame time for this challenge is 57 minutes and 48 seconds. And that, on our midpoint leaderboard, puts us in 6th place so far. Not a bad run so far for the Golduck, but there is still everything to play for. There's another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And we're rejoining the action here in Goldenrod City because we're going to spend all of our money getting Ice Beam from the game corner. That's generally what happens when we run a water type. As soon as we get access to Ice Beam, we'll be learning it. A lot of people talk up moves like Headbutt and Return in Generation 2, but I genuinely think Ice Beam might be one of the most powerful moves, not only in Generation 2, but across all the generations we challenge run in. But with that on the learn sets, we can make a trip over to Vermilion City, where we'll grab the rare candy from the chairman in the Pokemon fan club, and then we're going to start our Cantonian gauntlet of gyms. And even though we're a water type, we're still going to be doing our standard Cantonian routing. So that means we'll start here at Surge, then we'll go over to Erica, then it's down to Janine in Fuchsia City, back to Saffron for Sabrina, up to Cerulean for Misty, across to Pewter for Brock, down to the Seafoam Islands for Blaine, and then we'll finish off with Blue. And talking of Blue, if you do want to skip ahead to the Blue fight, it's going to be happening at around about 25 minutes and 45 seconds into the video. For everybody else, let's now sit back, relax, and have our standard Cantonian chat. And in this one, I'm going to start off by talking about playing to my own strengths. The end of the line is definitely the series where I can most directly compare myself to other runners, but I am making an active choice to not pay attention to the times that anybody else gets, and that's because I need to play to my own strengths. I've never been a runner who's been able to optimise runs efficiently. I find I get incredibly bored running the same Pokemon over and over again back to back, and that's in contrast to somebody like Snowy, who is phenomenal at getting every last second out of a Pokemon. So Snowy's times are always going to be significantly shorter than my times for the same Pokemon, but we're not doing the same challenge, and that's something that I have had to learn very quickly over the last 2.5 years of doing challenge runs. It doesn't matter whether you're doing the same thing on paper, your aims could be completely different. And we'll use our Golduck as an example here. Snowy managed to get Golduck in a time of 59 minutes and 13 seconds when they ran it across Pokémon Crystal, but that was after many attempts. Whereas our attempt here, it's our first ever time running Golduck fully evolved through Pokémon Crystal. And with my challenges being first attempts, I'm not going to know that I can skip certain trainers or not pick up certain items because we won't need them, because I haven't had that experience playing with Golduck through the game multiple times. And I think it's very important as a challenge runner to try and find your own niche. Try and find something that you enjoy that maybe nobody else has considered doing in the challenge running scene before. For me, that was doing first time attempts only on the leaderboard, but for somebody else it might be allowing items in battle. Or it could be that somebody else bans rare candies entirely, and the only way they can get extra levels is by doing the grind, because again, that's perfectly legitimate. And I think as challenge runners, and especially as challenge runners who are content creators, it is very important that we lift each other up and try and encourage each other to do our runs in our own style, without either explicitly or implicitly implying that there is a right or wrong way to challenge run. Because that, I think, breeds toxicity, and the only toxicity we should be getting is if somebody misspells toxicity when they're doing a backport. And genuinely, if you are thinking about getting into challenge running, please do let me know. I really enjoy seeing other people have fun doing what I have enjoyed so much for the last 2.5 years. But with all that said, let's now hand back to the live run, where it's time to take on our last gym leader, Blue. It is, of course, now time for Blue. Blue is our final gym leader of the challenge, and he's going to lead with Pidgeot. So we're going to use Ice Beam against Pidgeot, take care of it in one shot, guaranteed, especially with the Never Melt Ice. We'll use Ice Beam against the Executor as well, and we are suddenly only 4 Pokemon left to go. I reckon Return's the best bet against the Alakazam as we take that down in one, and we'll continue returning against the Gyarados. He goes for Twister of all things, which seems a little bit strange. And now he is going to heal the Gyarados. I reckon it's possibly a 2-shot with high rolls, but we're just going to have to deal with him healing looping. He's going to get rid of all of his full restores here, which is absolutely fine. We're on 87 HP, but the rest of his Pokemon are going to be no issue whatsoever. We'll one-shot the Arcanine, and then we're going to one-shot the Rhydon to finish off Blue in a fairly simple battle in a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 19 seconds. Let's now unlock Mount Silver and make our way to Red. We have our 10 rare candies, we have a hope and a dream, so let's see how we get on against Red. He is the final trainer of the challenge and he leads with Pikachu. We outspeed the Pikachu, but we don't quite one-shot it. That's not a great start. A critical hit does knock it out though, and that brings us on to Venusaur. Venusaur takes in Sunlight, which is kind of useful, but we get one-shot by Solar Beam. Let's use our first 3 rare candies and also take our first reset of the challenge. Let's see if we do any better this time. Hopefully, this Pikachu is now a consistent one-shot. There we go. And now we might be in 2-shot range for the Venusaur. It's all going to be a critical hit. That works out, doesn't it? I was going to say it's all going to be about whether he takes in Sunlight or uses Sunny Day, but we don't need to worry about either of those things. Instead, we need to worry about the Espeon doing an awful lot of damage. Our only hope now is to freeze the Snorlax, which doesn't happen. So let's use another set of rare candies. Get ourselves up to level 69. Hopefully, we'll make some progress this time. We know that Pikachu's irrelevant now. We're only battling 5 Pokemon. We see that Venusaur still uses Solar Beam on turn 1, which is great for us, because that means not only is our Surf not going to be reduced, we also have the chance to freeze this Snorlax, which we have done exactly when we needed it. I misclicked there, I meant to go for Surf. Please just stay frozen. Stay frozen and we are all good. I think Return will knock it out now. Who do we have next? We've got Blastoise. What should we do for Blastoise? Probably Return and hope that Surf doesn't do much against us. Surf is barely tickling us. He would be better off going for Blizzard here. A critical hit could be disastrous though. We've only got Charizard left to go. Let's see, do we one-shot this thing? The answer is yes. We grow to level 70 and we defeat Red in 1 hour, 15 minutes and 30 seconds. And that time of 1 hour, 15 minutes and 30 seconds is enough to put us in 3rd place on the end of the line leaderboard. Now that does push everybody else down a slot, so Dugong is off the podium, and now we have Omastar in our page 1 drop zone, and our brand new leader of page 2 is Kabutops. But with that, we are done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more challenges just like this. And until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.